Hello everyone, hopefully you're all doing well today whenever it is you're watching this video. My name is P.U.N.K, as some of you are aware, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through some test hands for the P.U.N.K archetype. The particular deck list I'm going to be using is the most recent deck list I posted relative to this video, namely the Halcororodon list for February 2022. I'll link it in the description below so that you can find it and sort of see my deck choices as to supplement what you'll see here. Now, how this video is going to be divided up, we're first going to talk about 3 combos going first. The first time I do one of these combos, we're going to go into a lot of depth regarding what to do at which points, and then following that, we'll go not as so in depth. The reason why is because with the Halcororodon version of the deck, it is pretty linear, bar after you reach Aurorodon and Cupid Pitch and so forth, what you want to do with your end board. So I don't want to waste too much of your time going through those similar steps, aka going through Hal, going through Aurorodon, etc. Especially given that my particular build has a very set board it wants to achieve, and doing that 3 times in a row obviously is not very productive, to say the least. After this, we're going to talk about 2 going second hands, just so you can sort of see how this deck might operate going second, and then we'll end off the combos with a Coltwing combo, aka what happens if you open Coltwing in your hand, given that is a relevant topic for a lot of you P.U.N.K enthusiasts, since without Coltwing, a lot of your combos get a little bit awkward, as you'll see. Aside from the structure of the video as described just now, the last thing I want to say in this introduction is, per usual, remember that the choices I make during these combos, as well as the deck list I'm using to perform this combo, are my own. At the end of the day, you might be playing a different list or you might see different lines in these hands that I don't see. You are not obligated to follow my list nor follow the combos I have here. With that out of the way, let's get started. Okay, so as we start the first combo, I do want to apologize in advance for the field state. Basically, I have this mat with field zones, but the camera won't reach the entirety of the mat, so I might be placing cards in weird locations, say the middle of these 2 main monster zones, as opposed to in the correct monster zone themselves. I'll still tell you which zones certain cards should be placed in. Nonetheless, it's gonna look really awkward, and I apologize for that. If it is a little disorienting, again, I'll see what I can do next time. This said, let me put the deck to the side and we can draw our first test hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reveal the hand. Okay, so we have Gamma, 2 Ogre Dances, Mythic Water Dragon, and Cosmic Cyclone. This is a pretty solid hand going first. To start out, or I mean, if you want to first approach this hand as in terms of just seeing what options we can do, you have Ogre Dance to discard to search your P.U.N.K monsters. You have Gamma to potentially negate, say an Ash on the Ogre Dance, which is nice, and then you can of course make Omega with this card. And then you have Mythic Water Dragon as an extender. We're going to start out with that first thing I said, aka searching a P.U.N.K monster. We're going to discard Ogre Dance, put the hand down real quick, or actually let me spread it out so that you can still see it while I go through the deck. We're going to grab ourselves a copy of No P.U.N.K Z Amin, one of the main starters for the deck aside from Foxy Tune and aside from the Ogre Dance we just discarded. If you want to, you could potentially go Shirakusai instead, though I don't find that necessary here, since you can always just normal this, grab Foxy Tune, summon out Spider, which we're going to do here, and then do your Hal combos from there. I would probably go for Shirakusai, maybe going second, because you could then use Carp or Rising Carp to make Amazing Dragon and have Amazing Dragon attack twice. Though since we're going first, we don't need to do that. We don't need to use the extra cards. So we grab Foxy Tune. We'll then use Foxy Tune's effect here. Discard itself for cost. If your opponent doesn't have a response, you can then discard again. We're going to discard the Psyframe Gear Gamma. Because it's currently dead, of course. And then we're going to summon from our deck a copy of, let me move this down, a copy of P.U.N.K, Madam Spider. From here, we can then activate Madam Spider's effect, grab ourselves a copy of either trap. I'm going to go for Dangerous Gabu mainly because there's no guarantee at this point that we can keep a punk monster on field for the Nashawari surprise, despite the fact that my deck does aim to make punk monsters. You never know. This is safer just in case that happens. Usually you'll end up searching this, in my opinion, versus the Nashawari surprise, unless of course you know your opponent doesn't have any disruptions. From here, you can make our favorite friend for the deck, P.U.N.K. Again, apologies for the zones. It's going to be sort of like, probably like this. We'll just have to move the cards further down. Again, really awkward, but that's just that. P.U.N.K. will activate here. You just gotta hope your opponent doesn't Imperm, Ash, Veiler, etc., hit the card. But if it doesn't, you summon Despot 001 here. I think I did mention in the previous video that Hulk is a choke point for at least this variant. That is just an inherent weakness with the way this deck list is built, and I'm trying to figure out ways to circumvent that. Aside from just playing cross out, playing called, so forth. But for now, with this variant, we'll make Auroradon, say over here in this extra deck monster zone. Use Auroradon's effect, summon 3 tokens. We're going to use the dice as a way to indicate the 3 tokens. And then since multiple machine monsters will summon at the same time, we'll summon back the Despot 001. So let's say you have a token there, token here, and then an empty zone here. For this combo, it shouldn't matter where you put the tokens and or the Despot 001, to be honest. Then we can go Despot 001 alongside one of the tokens, so now we only have 2. Remember the tokens to level 3, which is why we can make the Cupid Pitch here. Cupid Pitch will activate. It will increase or decrease its level equal to the level of the tuner used, and since we use Despot 1, we will make this level 5 in this case. We will then use Auroradon's effect, tribute the 2 tokens off to summon from our deck Mecha Phantom Beast Coltwing, which should be, I think it was at the top of the deck. Yep. So we'll summon the Coltwing, it'll summon 2 more tokens back, and then again, same thing as before, Despot 001, fortunately not a hard one's return. We will then summon Despot 001, have the last token here, and our board's full. From here, there's a lot of different things you can do, as you've probably seen in my combo videos and or if you've seen on the spreadsheet. For my particular deck, what we're going to do here is we're going to we're going to use a token, and we're going to use Cupid Pitch, level 3, level 5, to make Savage Dragon. And Savage Dragon here will equip the P.U.N.K. from our grave to itself. This is getting a little bit awkward, but again, just gotta deal with it for now. But yeah, P.U.N.K.'s there. This has 2 counters on it. I don't have another dice on me right now. Oh wait, there is one over here. Yeah, so 2 counters to negate. Now we have a level 7 Coltwing and a Despot 001. Remember that Coltwing modulates its level depending on how many tokens are on the field. Right now it gets 3 levels. So level 7, level 1. Oh wait, don't forget to do this. I forgot to trigger Cupid Pitch as a chain link 1. This is chain link 2. So going back to the previous chain, we are going to search a copy of Creation Resonator. You don't want to forget this declaration, otherwise that will severely impede your combos moving forward. From here, what we're going to do, again, continue on level 7, level 1, make Chaos Ruler. I like to do this because Chaos Ruler is a dark for Kaliga. That doesn't require you to use like Cupid Pitch or something. Furthermore, this lets you potentially get hand traps depending on what you are playing and or extenders or follow-up. So we will mill 5. I'm going to put them up here. And you see, in this case, we did hit a hand trap. We're going to add Ghost over to hand. And then we're going to shuffle the deck, put these in grave. So you can already see the benefit of Chaos Ruler. This is going to be a great card in the future with Difo when you can make it easier with Die a Note. Nonetheless, it's still good now. As you can see, you can sort of weave it into combos you have. If you recall, we searched Cupid Pitch earlier. We're now going to summon the Cupid Pitch, Synchro Cupid Pitch plus Chaos Ruler into a copy of Amazing Dragon. Amazing Dragon will then use its second effect, not its first effect, because you're going first. Your opponent shouldn't have anything on field unless they game at you. You're going to summon back a copy of Chiruri Spider. You could also summon back Zia Min. It doesn't matter too much here. I guess if you're playing Gagaku Wagon, you could summon that back if you say discard it off of Foxy and you want to get that extra search, but I'm not playing it. From here, we can then send these two, the token level 3 and the spider, to grave to summon Muddy Mud Dragon. Board's getting a little clogged here in terms of just how it looks, but apologies again. And then Chaos Ruler can actually activate. We can banish the Ogre Dance that we had used and the Cupid Pitch, because we most likely won't use Cupid Pitch or revive it to any extent. Banish it. I'm gonna put it off screen. Summon back the Chaos Ruler and attack or defense, and you can see here we can now activate the Muddy Mud Dragon effect fused with the Chaos Ruler. Chaos Ruler will be banished. This is going to go sort of off screen again. To summon a copy of Invoke monster, Invoke Kaliga. Ideally, you want to play around Meknice as much as possible, so you can put it here. And then from here, we can set a copy of our Cosmic, Dangerous Gabu. I'm going to keep them face up to show that we have them. And then you still have access to Ghost Ogre, and you have suitable follow-up. These two can make another Amazing Dragon via discarding this, searching a level 3 tuner, and then summoning this. So you can see here, test hand 1 pretty solid. You got an Omni Negate, a Monster Negate, quote-unquote, as in you can only use one monster effect. Another Monster Negate, pop a face up, and then pop another card. I guess one downside of this board is Kaliga will lock you into only one monster effect per turn. So you won't always necessarily be able to use Ghost Ogre and the Savage Dragon. However, the idea here is if you're playing against a monster heavy deck, the Invoke Kaliga should ideally stop your opponent in their tracks, and then the Savage Dragon can negate, say, something that would prevent the Kaliga from being negated. For example, let's say your opponent opens a full monster heavy hand and they open an imperm. This can stop the imperm, and then even though you can't use the Ghost Ogre, this will ideally stop your opponent from doing anything else. And you'll still have these two cards to sort of interact beyond just monster effects that you have. Okay, so as I start shuffling my deck here to prepare the going second test hands that are raw and on the spot, I do want to mention that, as you can probably tell, this deck isn't the best going second, at least this particular deck list. You do have a lot of hand traps built into this version. You have Gamma, Ash, Ogre, somewhere in here, as well as the Cosmic Cyclones, but the inherent engine is pretty predictable and also pretty fragile, in the sense that, as I alluded to earlier, if you get hit on the Hulk, you get hit on the Auroradon, those usually stop your turn. You could try and go for a Rising Carp, a more essentially punk-centric line. Nonetheless, those also fall suit to having choke points, such as the Rising Carp being Ash is a turn ender. So that said, I am working on seeing if I can make a deck list that is more versatile and or more resilient to disruption and or cases like that where you're going second, you have hand traps to stop them, but you don't necessarily stop all their plays, and they put up like a negator or two, some sort of disruption, etc. And I'm also reaching out to some of my other friends, peers, to see what we can do about that. If you have any suggestions, and if you're watching, I'd happily recommend you share those suggestions in the comments below, and I'll respond. Of course, after you like and subscribe, because I must plug my channel if I can. It'd be much appreciated, because at the end of the day, the focus of this channel is to expand this archetype as much as possible, and I can't do that alone. I need some of you to help, so I do appreciate it. That said, let's draw our 6-card test hand going second, reveal it, and then we can go from there. Okay, so definitely a solid going first hand. Going second, you don't really have any disruption, which is kind of unfortunate. You can try and bet that your opponent has not enough negates to where you can play through it. In which case, that's a scenario we'll imagine here. Let's say your opponent doesn't do full PK lock and scythes you. You can still play. So what we're going to do here, personally, what I think I do is I try to bait out, let's say they have like a single Baron on field, which is something I have encountered before with bricky hands for certain decks. I'd bait it out by going into a rank 3, and you can do that without your normal summon doing, or using these two cards. You can E-Telly out, say, let me double check our hand real quick, or actually even put it down here so you can actually see it. We can go and summon probably, it really, you could summon Sherikusai, Zeomin, Spider, or let's say Ghost Ogre. For this case, let's just summon Ghost Ogre, mainly because we got the other two in hand. I know that might not be super optimal, but we'll do that for now. This is all hypothetical because going second, it depends what your opponent does. You then summon the Psychic Tracker. You can overlay these two, there's two options here, or actually only one option with this list, sorry. I'm getting too used to my currently in progress list. But you can make Breaksword here. You can attempt to use Breaksword's effect to pop the monster with a negate and or whatever back row. That will bait it out. Let's say this gets destroyed somehow. And you'll still have plays from here. We didn't use our normal summon. Because there's two ways you can do this. You can normal summon Zeomin. You can search your copy of Foxy Tune. You can then use Foxy Tune to discard, say, the Sherikusai and go into Spider, which can then, since it's an extra body, you can, after you search the trap card, of course, you can go into P.U.N.K, go into Orodon, do that line. Alternatively, what you could do is you could try and make the, You could try and make Rising Carp and try and OTK using Amazing Dragon. If we go back a little bit, we can see if we can do that with this particular hand. I think the main issue here is that you would most likely need the Foxy Tune, and you can't search that without normal summoning this. In which case, I guess what you could do is you could go back to the E-Telly play. Instead of summoning out the Ghost Ogre, you could summon another Zeomin from deck. Summon this, Zeomin can search the Foxy Tune. We should have another Zeomin in hand. And a Foxy Tune at this point. Sorry for the awkwardness of this, I'm just trying to do all this on the spot. And then in this case, after you make the Breaksword, after it gets popped or something, what you could do here is you can activate Foxy Tune, summon, say, another Zeomin from deck, or sorry, not a Zeomin, sorry, you need to summon the Sherikusai, use Sherikusai's effect, fuse, say, these two away, make the Rising Carp. Then what you can do from here, you can normal summon your copy of Zeomin, or better yet, what you could do, I need to double check. We were supposed to discard another card for Foxy, so we could discard the 0/0/1 since we're not making the H.A.P. line here. You can discard Numer Ogre, search your Spider. Spider can then search your trap card. From here, you can then make the copy of Amazing Dragon, and the Amazing Dragon should be able to attack twice from here. You could modify this combo. It wasn't perfect, but you could modify it so you could have Zeomin targeting this when it's sent to grave to make this 36, which is double attacking, total of 72. And then, yeah, you can do variations of this. You could bounce cards to hand with the Amazing Dragon. You could also summon bodies back from grave. For example, the Ogre Dance to get more damage in. This would be game if you're bored, or if your opponent has nothing on field. Otherwise, if you want to make the Amazing Dragon now, and then still go into H.A.P. line, that wouldn't, or would still be possible in the sense that if you didn't discard the Despot 0/0/1, let's say you discarded the Zeomin, you could summon back a tuner with the Amazing Dragon, go into your house, summon the Despot 0/0/1, and then do a word on place. Hopefully you all followed that. I know I sort of mumbled my way through some of that, but it might be clear from here that this deck has some options, not the best options, but it can still play going second. We'll do one more test hand with no cut, and then we will do a Coltwing combo with a cut. So let me shuffle real quickly again. yeah, hopefully all of you are enjoying the deck. I'm enjoying it a lot. As you probably tell from the channel, of course. And I'm glad to, or I'm more than hoping to see where it goes forward from here. So draw our 6 cards. This hand is unfortunate to say the least. Yeah, let's just redo the hand. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, you have disruptions. The only way I see this hand being playable is if your opponent, let's say you use the Ash and the Ghost Ogre, and then during your turn, you can gammon them, get out the driver, then you can do some combo there, but this is unfortunate, but I'll keep it on video just because it is a hand that happens and you do want to understand that you know, this deck isn't perfect, nor is any deck perfect, and sometimes you can draw into hands like that. So to quickly redo the second test hand, I guess it's the third test hand now. Okay, this hand's better, still lacking some of the hand traps we have, but you can still play. The same ideology applies to this hand as did the previous hand. You try and bait out your opponent, in this case Cosmic. It might not be enough, of course, as expected, but it's an option. What you could do here actually is you could normal summon the Zia-Min. The Zia-Min could then search a copy of Foxy Tune, wherever Foxy Tune is. This is going to look very similar to the last playable test hand for going second. You can summon the Moonstar, go Moonstar and the Zia-Min into Break Sword. Remember that Moonstar doesn't lock you into Synchro Summoning period, it only locks you into Synchro Summoning with itself, Dark Synchro Monsters. You can use the Break Sword, bait something out, use Foxy Tune's effect, discard itself and the Shirakusai, summon another copy of Shirakusai, use Shirakusai's effect, fuse these two into the Rising Carp, which should be this card, I think. Yep. Summon the Rising Carp, use the Rising Carp's effect, tribute itself, summon 2 more from deck, probably your Zia-Min and Spider. Use the Spider to search the Nashiwari Surprise, and from here you can just do how it plays. Unfortunately, you can't access Amazing Dragon to do a more punk-centric version. Nonetheless, this is pretty stable. I mean, worst case scenario, you could always just make a Zeus by overlaying these two, making the Fortune Tune, so forth, but yeah, you can see here that hand require a little bit of thought, though in the end you do have some variety in what you can do here. That said, we'll have a little bit more time for the Coltwing test hand and then we'll stop the video. Okay, so as hinted at the start of the video, something that's gonna be on your mind is what happens if we draw that card, the Coltwing, the very dreaded Garnet. And this is what we're going to address here. It is possible to still play, as you'll see. It's just going to be very awkward because the Coltwing gives you the extra bodies you need to make a full board. Nonetheless, there is a board still makeable here. So we're going first. This is our 1 card in hand guaranteed. And then we'll draw 4 on top of that and see what we can do. Okay, this is a pretty solid hand, even with the Coltwing. What we're going to do here, at this point, you probably are aware what all the cards do per the previous combo, so I'll go through it really quickly. We're going to discard Ogre Dance. We're going to search a copy of Zia-Min. We can normal summon Zia-Min, use Zia-Min's effect, grab Foxy Tune, and then you have the option of either using the Foxy Tune to discard the Coltwing, to summon a punk monster from deck and then doing how combo. You could just summon the Moonstar from hand, do how combo like that, in which case you save the Foxy Tune for next turn. Alternatively, if we go all the way back to the start, what you could do instead, so we haven't searched this yet, if you want to prioritize getting the trap card, and that's what we're going to go for here, which is what I'd probably do. The first 2 things were sort of misleading. What I do is I would just normal the Madam Spider, use the Madam Spider's effects, grab a trap card to guarantee the trap card since we're only playing 1 spider in this list, summon out the Moonstar, and then do how combo from here. Because the trap card can be important, especially in a hand like this. where you aren't guaranteed the full board due to drawing the Coltwing. Meanwhile, you still have Ogre Dance to search Z-Min on the following turn and to then grab Foxy Tune and do plays from there. So we'll try and zoom through this. Since some of this is sort of straightforward, you grab the copy of P.U.N.K, you summon out Despot 001 for the 100th time, you link these off, make the Rorodon, summon 3 tokens as such, summon back the 001 as a result, 1 token plus 001, or sorry, I was like sort of getting into the usual combo. What you can actually do here is you can go these two, 1 token and Despot 001. In the Cupid Pitch will modulate itself into a level 5. You can then use Cupid Pitch and a token to make Savage Dragon. The good thing about, I mean, this isn't necessarily a good thing because you're drawing the Coltwing, but a benefit about doing this is some people might expect you to go Coltwing, and the fact you're going for Savage straight up here might, I guess, catch some people off guard if they were holding hand traps very greedily, which is, it might come up, you never know. I bring up some of these scenarios despite the fact they might never occur because there could be a scenario where they do occur. So at this point, summon the Savage Dragon, equip Alpha Fibrex, use the Cupid Pitch to search the copy of Creation Resonator, use Creation Resonator's effect, summon itself, because we control a level 8 or higher Synchro Monster. You have a level 3 tuner, send the tokens, send the Creation Resonator to grave. You can summon a copy of Muddy Mud Dragon. Muddy Mud Dragon can then fuse with itself and the Rorodon into Raijin. Then from here, you can set your 1 copy of Dangerous Gabu. I can move these cards up now since we have the space. Set your 1 copy of Dangerous Gabu, which I'll flip up so you can see. And then you have Ghost Ogre in hand. You have the Ogre Dance for follow-up. And a dead Coltwing is also in hand, but you can use that to discard off a Foxy Tune. Essentially, for this following commentary, this would be both the conclusion and the sort of commentary on this particular section. But you can see here, even with drawing the Coltwing, you can still make a decent board. It's obviously not going to be as great as when you draw Coltwing. Nonetheless, you still have a Book of Moon, you have an Omni Negate, an Imperm, and a Ghost Ogre, which is 4 disruptions on its own. Some decks may not be able to play through this unless you draw that out, which is nice. And you do have follow-up for next turn when you try to kill them. So overall, as you look upon this Coltwing lacking combo board, you can see as a result of the test hands shown in this video that P.U.N.K is very consistent. I know I've said that multiple times throughout the video, but it's generally something you want to know and keep in mind, especially when you play not only this deck, but other decks. The fact that it's so consistent lets you put in a range of options. For this particular list, I supplemented all the extra spots with hand traps, but you could always supplement it with, say, more extenders or a completely different engine like Virtual World, Sword Soul, P.U.N.K, Outlich. Those are some of the main variants I've seen running around. And doing so can definitely bolster what the deck does beyond what this particular variant does. This is a nice variant for, I guess, starting players and or players that like a straightforward playstyle, though I think you would get farther playing a different version of the deck. So that is something you want to keep in mind. Strengths, consistency, and potentially end boards, but cons, very linear, very predictable, potentially fragile, and going second, not the greatest. All of that said though, at the end of the day, P.U.N.K is still a very fun archetype to play, and I would highly recommend it. As you can see, I clearly dedicated an entire channel to it, and I know some of you will still love the deck for the art, for the playstyle, whatever it be. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. You've seen this test hand video, which can help you guide yourself through learning the deck. Furthermore, you have access to my combo videos, you have access to the spreadsheet, you have access to not only the channel Discord, but there's also a P.U.N.K Discord I found out about recently, which is going to be linked soon. All of that said, I'm trying to see if I forgot anything, but I don't think I did. Thank you for watching today's video. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate all of you viewers, whether you be subscribers or not. Hopefully you can remember to like this video regardless of which one of those categories you fall into. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Comment below if you have any comments or questions. Otherwise, I will finally cue the outro.